Good morning, members of the press. I'm here this morning to speak on just one major issue. Well, yes, and that is the recent increase or adjustment in the fuel prices in St. Lucia. But before I go into this, I need to remind the public that when we took office, referring to this current government in 2016, we found a road network throughout the country that was just bad, in a very bad situation. And as a government, we had to make a decision. What do we do? Do we keep the roads as the way we found them, or we repair them? And obviously, the answer to that question is repair them. But the next question that comes to mind is, how do we finance the repairs of these roads? And the only answer is through taxation. And that's the way the government raises revenues, through taxation. But we decided that we will not continue the traditional way of just getting money out of the consolidated fund from various sources of revenues. We as a government, we decided to have a dedicated tax for the fuel, for the excise tax. And that's exactly what we did. We started the process last fiscal year when we adjusted the excise tax from $2.50 to $4. And based on that adjustment, we decided to raise a certain amount of revenue based on the projections. But realize that we were not able to capture the full benefits of the increase. There are times when we were collecting $3.50, $3.60 out of the $4, which means that there's a shortfall in revenues for road repairs. But as a government, we realized that we need to fix the roads, even if we started the process, but the roads were just getting terribly bad. And therefore, as a cabinet, as a government, we decided that we will ensure that we get the full benefit of the $4. Well, Monday was the very first time of that adjustment. Now I need to advise the public, or inform the public, that the increase that in fuel prices that we saw on Monday is not necessarily as a result of the increase in the excise tax, but it has to do also with the increase in international fuel prices. In terms of comparison, when we came into government in 2016, the price per barrel of gasoline, fuel, was about $48 roughly 120 EC dollars. As of yesterday, that price actually jumped to $68. So we see almost a 40 to 41% increase in the price of fuel on the international markets. And obviously, it will have an impact on our local fuel prices. There is no doubt about that. So we as a government, as I said earlier, we said that in spite of these increases, we need the revenues to fix our roads, because we have an ambitious road rehabilitation and maintenance program, and we'll ensure that we will undertake that program. Now, I also need to remind the public that in 2015, the local price per gallon of gas at the pump was $15.85. In spite of the adjustments that we have made from the $2.50 to the $4, we are still paying $13, just about $13 per gallon of gas at the pump. So we are far below the gallon of gasoline at the pump as of from when you compare today with 2015. These are the decisions that we have to make as a government. The government was elected to make decisions on behalf of the people of St. Lucia, and we believe that we are making the right decisions. Now, as I said earlier, that international fuel prices is on the rise. And naturally, you will have an increase in other areas of products, naturally. But what we saw in the last year, in spite of the increases in fuel prices over the period under review, 2017, prices in general in St. Lucia only increased by 0.1%. Now, this is very, very instructive, because when we compare the increase in goods and services in the United States, in Japan and Canada, they were ranging between 2 and 3%. And these are the source markets. So for we in St. Lucia to have a inflation rate of 0.1%, this is very, very instructive. And if I refer you to the Economic and Social Review, it will say or read that the main reason for just a 0.1% increase in inflation had to do with the VAT reduction from 15% to 12.5%. So the government understood very, very, very early that we need to control the level of prices or price increases in St. Lucia. And that was just one of the areas in which we decided to move forward with. There are things that we have control over, and there are things that we don't have any control over. And I'm referring to the non-control things of increased fuel prices.